In the 1970s, it was very rare that a Japanese was not the favorite for a gold medal, but this was the case in the 70 kilograms division in Montreal. The top prospect there was Vladimir Nevzorov of the Soviet Union, the reigning world champion from 1975. He was also the European champion that year. Nevzorov was a unique Soviet fighter, for although he did have a sambo wrestling background, his judo style was somewhat classical, with the kimata and Tai-Otoshi being his favorite techniques. Although he was widely admired for his technical wizardry, he was also an extremely hard worker. He was an inspiration for Alexander Yatskovich, a famous Soviet player whose name is synonymous with a rolling jujigatame that is very popular, even to this day. I always remember seeing Nevzorov in training camps. Yatskovich wrote in his book, Russian Judo, not only was he particularly gifted, he also trained harder than anyone else. Yatskovich recalled seeing Nevzorov always staying back in the dojo after the formal session was over to work on techniques or to do some conditioning training. The Japanese knew they had a tough fight ahead in the 70 kilograms division because Nevzorov had beaten their player, Koji Kuramoto, in the 75 World Championships. There was no reason to suggest the outcome would be any different this time. As expected, Nevzorov blitzed through the preliminary rounds, beating his opponents from Poland, Switzerland, and Australia by ippon. Even South Korea's representative, Lee Chang-sun, could not stop him and succumbed to the inevitable Tai-Otoshi for ippon. Kuramoto had a harder time in the prelims, winning only one match by ippon, but he made his way to the final for a rematch with Nevzorov. The outcome of that match was to be a formality, but it very nearly didn't go as planned. As expected, Nevzorov dominated, throwing Kuramoto twice with his lightning-quick cross-grip Tai-Otoshi. The first one scored Koka, but the second one could have easily been an ippon. Even the Japanese coach, Isao Okano, was reported to have said afterwards that the second Tai-Otoshi was indeed worthy of an ippon. Nevertheless, only a wazari was given. Kuramoto had a second lease of life and he very nearly turned Nevzorov into a hold-down in the final seconds of the match. But Nevzorov managed to stay largely on his belly until the timer rang, giving him the win.
残り時間が12秒から11秒になっている。不振が場外のジェスチャーです。残り時間がほとんど